And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our live chats on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock, where we talk to you, mostly doctors on Dobbs, about various topics, and we have various guests. Today, it's all about IoTs, which is Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and telehealth. And with me today is the team from UCH, which stands for United Crest Healthcare, which is a technology company, and they've got some interesting things to share with us in the field of IoTs, AI, and telehealth. So I hope that will be something new and will interest you guys. Just first of all, before I introduce all of them, we'll just go through some basic housekeeping. Very simple. I mean, you can, if you have questions later, you can ask in Facebook or Dobbs or YouTube if you choose to. But we have some polls, so if you could also do join us at slido.com, and the event is at 99255, which you enter at slido.com website or on the Slido app if you're using a mobile. Okay, so do join us at slido.com 99255 for questions and answers. You can ask anytime, and also some polls which will show at the end of the UCH presentation. So without further ado, let me introduce the team. Okay, the guy at the bottom, at the center. Okay, I'll move him next to me. Right.
I think you're talking about me, right?
Mr. Ek Kai is the head honcho of UCH. Okay, and then at his left is Encik Khairul, whom I'm told is the AI expert in UCH. Encik Masri is with UCH in Malaysia, and Haley is with UCH in Singapore, and she, as the sole rose amongst the thorns, will be the presenter. And then there's Adrian, who is with UCH also in Malaysia. Did I miss out somebody? Oh, yes. We lost Danish just now. So welcome back, Danish. Okay, Danish is also in AI in the UCH. Okay, so what we'll do next is have a little presentation from Haley. So I'll pass it on to Haley, and she will present something on IoT, AI, and telehealth. So take it away, Haley. All yours.
Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Alan, for inviting me to speak to Dobbs Group today. My name is Haley. Today, I represent United Crest Healthcare, a 6-year-old medtech company, to speak on the topic IoT, AI, and telehealth. This webinar today will cover the topics of the changes in healthcare settings before, during, and after the pandemic. We will also explore what are the key elements in telehealth and how healthcare providers can leverage AI and IoT to restructure the business models and patients' adherence programs. I will also showcase some examples on how the AI and IoT and cloud-based technology works and the benefits of implementing it in telehealth. Happy to take any questions at the end of the presentations. You can post your questions in the Slido app. So to give you some overview of the company, our founder name is Mr. Kai Ek. He's an engineer by training, but has a strong passion in advancing the modern healthcare structure. He started with a microchip company called Key ASIC and used to have microchip manufacturing factories in the US. He then implements the microchip technology in medical devices and formed the Internet of Medical Things, which we will cover later on. He also set up the AI and cloud-based EMR technology in 2 of his healthcare companies called UCrest and United Crest Healthcare. Both Key ASIC and UCrest are public listed companies, and the headquarters is based in Singapore. We have a well-developed operations in Southeast Asia regions, including China, Malaysia, and Taiwan. Over the years, we have partners with different healthcare organizations, such as AstraZeneca, Stanford Healthcare Centers, Beijing Hospital, and the list goes on. And we have successfully evidenced our digital healthcare model. So telehealth solutions already exist before pandemic, but before the pandemic, the traditional healthcare structure is categorized into hospital care and clinic care and does not see the needs to combine it through telehealth. For a long time, the biggest puzzles for telehealth implementations among the doctors group was, this is a cool concept, but is this going to work? So pandemic has gave us a confirmations answer that yes, telehealth is going to work and this is needed in the modern world. During pandemic, clinic and hospital loses patients, and at the same time, patients loses access to medical advices and treatments due to fear of face-to-face interactions, social distancing, and change of healthcare priorities. Hence, in the wake of current situations, the concept of home is clinic, clinic is home has become evidence and necessary service because telehealth removes geographical barriers, provide a safe methods to interact and resume service continuity through technology. In this period, telehealth has been used for all kinds of services, including simple acute, primary care, and even hospital care, such as e-prescriptions, remote consultations, remote chronic disease management, as well as online medical second opinion. The interactions between patients and doctors nowadays have slowly changed from physical visits to one click away on the phone. Even when the pandemic is over, the users already get used to the convenience of using telehealth. The user behavior will stick and telehealth will become a norm. According to the market research, the global digital health market size is expected to grow exponentially for the next 5 years. So although many telehealth platforms emerged during a pandemic, most of the telehealth providers are using online calls as a medium to conduct online consultations. However, this type of consultations is usually episodic and based on patients' self-reported symptoms. One question we get often from patients is that, how are doctors possible to know my true diagnosis without measuring my vital signs? Without data, how can the doctor perform diagnosis, let alone retain and engage the patients? That being said, Zoom, Skype, or FaceTime are not considered as a sustainable telehealth solutions. In telehealth, IoT, Internet of Medical Things, is a key connectors. So IoT stands for Internet of Medical Things, and it refers to the abilities of a medical device to transfer the medical data over a network without requiring humans to humans interactions. So basically connect the devices to the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth so that it can transfer the data. So when doctors seek for telehealth implementations, the key elements they should take into considerations include, does the platform have IoTs to track data? Is the data collections compliance with PDPA? Does the platform have the ability to do electronic medical records? In short, we call it EMR, and also AI integrations, and whether they provide technical and customization supports. So when iMedic design a comprehensive telehealth solutions, we take into account of all these and to create a very holistic telehealth solutions. This is an overview of iMedic cloud-based technology. For simple acute, specialist, and primary care, we have the Bluetooth-enabled devices to collect patients' vital signs remotely and also in real time. Currently, we have customized for more than 20 medical devices to collect different biometrics, and all these devices are HIPAA compliant. So for the hospital care, we connect all these big machines in the hospitals and integrate with hospital system through the microchip using M card and M drive. So as long as the devices have the SD or USB slot, we are able to fetch the data into the cloud EMR systems. For cancer care, we are currently working with Berkeley Cancer Research Institute, the largest hospital in Europe, in automating the cancer diagnosis using machine learning and artificial intelligence. A brief overview of the AI project they are working right now is that we help pathologists to automate the prognosis in few minutes. Instead of screening the biopsy tissue sample one by one, the pathologists just need to connect the computerized samples file with the AI box called KeyPath. And the AI will detect and recognize the prognosis of the cancer tissue with the accuracy of 97%. So this is how it looks like when you connect the AI box with the sample tissue. It will detect and learns what are the prognosis and suggest what kind of stage and phenotype of this to the pathologist. So it's like shortens the time as well as improve the accuracy. In short, all these cloud-based technology enable the healthcare to unite the data, automate the process, and increase the productivity. The concept we have is that we introduce a digital healthcare mall concept, something similar to Amazon. So using the mall analogy, the platform represents the mall, and the doctors represents the shops, where the patients represents the customer. The mall will centralize the shop and the customers go to the mall. So using iMedic platform, patients can choose freely which kind of service and treatments they want using our online platforms. So doctors, on the other hand, they get to engage with the patients, not just during clinical encounters, but before and after as well. We help the doctors to switch from a la carte models to bundle online and offline service and provide the patients the options to choose. So this helps the doctors to stop the patient leakage and create membership and loyalty program for the clinic to retain and expand the patient space. We also work with pharmaceutical company and insurance company in Southeast Asia regions to provide a one-stop solutions in our platform. This is the overview of the patient's user journey using the platform. Before the patients have symptoms, they already start tracking the vital sign and symptoms using the devices. This data will be used to do risk predictions and as well as helping the doctors to upsell and cross-sell the preventions program that is suitable and personalized for the patients. So when the patients feel symptoms and they want to see consult the doctor, they can either book the service to see the doctors online or offline. Either way, the doctors will provide data-informed consultations because the patients already have EMR records in the systems, and at the same time, they can track the real-time data at the time of consultations. So this will be also useful for doctors to conduct a second medical opinions as well, because all they need is already in the systems. When patients receive the treatments, the platform helps to track the symptoms and provide alerts and interventions. This helps the doctors to manage the treatment's progress and make sure that the patients stick to their treatments, sort of like a patient's adherence program. So after the treatments, the platforms will continue to engage the patients and maintain the doctor's-patient's relationship, which will be useful to boost like a patient's referral program at the end. So this is an overview of what we have. We have more than 20 medical devices, including BP machine, blood sugar, ECG, body compositions, and sleeping patterns as well. So this is a sample of how the ECG devices will work. We have 2 devices, one for the doctor, one for the patients. For the patient side, they just need to log into the devices and sync to the devices, and then they can just pair. Just one click away, click yes, connect with the Bluetooth, and all the devices will be connected real time. What meshes on the devices is shown on the app. So you can see here preparing, and then the data will be real time synchronized. You will take multiple readings to get the average data. So for example, this is a leadless ECG. You just put palm on the both end and then just start tracking the data. At the end of the tracking, you'll prompt out a diagnosis. You say, okay, if you have no regularity, you'll just show a primary screening. But then the data will be popped into the app and then we'll upload into our EMR records. So the patients can actually track the EMR records as well, going to here, EMR records here, and then you'll become the table form. But for the ECG, we have a special tab for the ECG reports to go back and check at that time of the measurements, what kind of the rhythms and what kind of the heart rate is it. So when it presents to the doctors, it will be already a comprehensive report at the time of measurements. Yeah. So other than that, we have we also use AI for risk prediction, smart alerts, and process automations, such as like a direct processing insurance bill, payment gateway, or digital the PDF files into flexible biometrics in a table form. So this is a sample how it works. For the patient's device, they have all these EMR records. So we do the color coding. The system will learn that if what is average for a certain kind of patients, and it will flag as orange color if the metrics that they measure is 10% difference than the average. They will flag as a warning and say, okay, you need to do something or take care of it. But if it becomes like 20% out of the range, you flag as a critical. So you have to seek doctors right away. So this is what we do for the risk predictions. We tell the patients that what kind of conditions they are in. At the same time, we track the data in the table form and a graph form. So you can see in the tracker, we track more than one biometrics, and patients can this is just all automated. So they can go back to like the time they want and to check what kind of the patterns they have and what kind of the things they want to see. It's just all in one platform. So other than that, we also have the teleconsultations feature. We also do like in the teleconsultations, including the e-booking online and offline. We also do the e-prescriptions or EMC. But we also have the digital medical marketing in the sense that we do data mining, and we help to group the patients, the profile, and for the doctors to do the targeted marketing. Most important thing is we have the one-stop customer relationship management. We help the patients and also the doctors to manage pre and post-treatment care, and also help to retain and restructure the business and reforms the membership program different for each clinic. So for the doctors who join our platform, we'll have access to a wide patients for regional, internationals, or in their local. So this is a sample how it works if you want to book the patients. So if you onboard your patients, you automatically become the favorite doctor. And if they search for different specialty, we'll help you to market in a sense that we put your expertise, we put your profile. So if they are keen, they can just book your consultations online as well as offline. And you can choose your availability and real-time synchronize with the Gmail here. So you have the control. Okay, so using iManage, doctors get to scale the business and the patient's outreach to anywhere in the world. We help doctors to change the business model, the user retention strategy, and increase the revenues with memberships programs and boost productivity with AI automations. And your patients get to receive coherent care in a very user-friendly platform. According to the survey, 90% of the patients no longer feel obligated to stay with a provider that don't offer online service. So this is the time to leverage technology to scale up your business as well as to reform the healthcare systems delivery. So to conclude, we provide multi-layer solutions. On the technical level, we customize and we connect medical devices based on your clinic needs, as well as setting the AI, EMR, and telehealth system for your clinic. On the business level, we provide training and workshop, as well as an integrated digital marketing platform and online patients adherence program. We customize that for you for your clinic. On the finance level, we help to boost revenue by remodeling your patient's retention strategy, and also we bundle your business and we reform the business outreach. Yeah. So today, this is how the events that we do every year. We conduct the workshop and unite the doctors from all over the world to share opinions and also train all these things. So today's presentations only cover a high-level overview of iManage technology. We do customized service for every clinic. And if you are keen to explore more, feel free to reach out to me or my colleagues or Dr. Ellen here. And happy to take any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Haley, for the very interesting presentation. There's a lot to cover. Yeah, so this is sort of like a very, very general overview of how you're using IoTs, a little bit of how you're using AIs, and your telemedicine solution, which your company is calling iMedic, right? But you said you will be able to, now or a lot of our doctors, maybe they are in clinics or they're working in hospitals and they already have their own EMR, some of various systems, some standalone, some cloud-based. How would your platform, help these doctors? How would
For
it plug
example, we
into
work
their
with
systems?
together with 65 doctors. They also have their own EMR system. So how we work together is we do the API access for both. So both, in a sense that they get the dual key access for in our platform, they can see their existing EMR. At the same time, in their platform, they can see our service. Yeah, so it's more like a platform integrations.
Okay. What about the IoT itself? Will the data be able to come into their EMR, or would it be just in the iMedic platform?
Yeah.
What
So you primarily sync to our platform, but if the platform, like for example, 65 Doctor, if the platform integrate with our platform, then in their platform they can see our EMI record as well.
Yeah, I think for those who may not be familiar, 65 Doctor has the Avixo EMR in Singapore and Malaysia. So their EMR is called Avixo, which might be familiar to some of our doctors. Huh? So yeah, so I don't know whether they're here. They might be able to join us tonight. But anyway, it's quite interesting. So you got 20 devices, and that's quite a lot. And how do you manage that? I mean, say a patient is pretty complicated, has diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. I can imagine he's going to have a plethora of gadgets in his home to be monitored. It can be quite messy and quite expensive, I would think, as well, because each one will not be very cheap. How does iMedic do this? Is it leased or is it bought by the patient, or how is it done? I'm curious.
So there's two ways. Yeah. So the doctors can choose to either rent or they can choose to sell. But for the devices part, right, it's actually commonly available. For example, there's a few of them are Omrons. So if the patients already have the Omron, they don't need to buy. They can just synchronize it with the platform. And all these are commonly found in pharmacies and all that thing. So different devices measure different things, and it's portable. They can bring it for travel, and it's small size.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Any questions from our audience? And those of you who are watching, I'm curious to know more about the AI aspect. We've got Khairul and Danish here, and Kai. Maybe would you like to share what you're doing? Because one of the things I'm curious about is, how it will benefit us in our workflow, as clinicians, as laboratory doctors, and as perhaps radiologists and so on.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much for organizing this. Before I start talking, once I start talking, you'll probably want to mute my mic at some point of time. Yeah, you don't want me to just go on. Okay. Thank you, Haley. You did a fantastic presentation there. Let me just quickly summarize what she has presented so that it captures what we are doing, and at least for tonight, that you did not waste too much time. You have something to take away. So what we do in the iMedic, basically there are three components. One is the telehealth platform. It works like a mall. It's just like a virtual hospital. We initially called it actually digital hospital, other than things that you have to do physically in the hospital that we cannot do on iMedic. Other than that, you can do pretty much everything that you are doing now in a clinic, pretty much all of it. The second capability that we have in the platform is the digital marketing. So we realize that doctors and clinics do not do much of the marketing in a traditional way. It's costly to do so, and also they do not have the resources. So we're built into the system that we do the marketing. If you look at Amazon or you look at Alibaba, flow of the customers are coming through the platform is actually done by them. So we are doing a similar thing. The reason why you're in a certain hospital, you park your clinic there is actually to get the flow of the patients. Similar to the concept, iMedic is a clinic mall or virtual clinic mall in which we will be bringing in the flow of the patient. Now, the tools, the platform also allow you to run your own digital marketing program, just like what you're running on a Facebook and things like that. The third one is what we call the patients adherence program. This is to help you to, the general term is called the CRM, right? Customer Relationship Management. In a medical sense, you want the patient to adhere to you, to the clinic. So it's called, the pharmaceutical companies call it the PAP, Patient Adherence Program. So this online program is called the PAP. So those are the three main capabilities designed and developed for the clinics of the doctors. So it gives you the ability to run a virtual clinic business. So that's the first thing that we do. In terms of technology, it consists of in the whole system is built with basically 4 core technology that's trendy today. Number one is the AI. You can be sure that there'll be more and more automations in the medical field. Other than those ability to help the diagnosed patient or recommend at least what diagnosis to make out of the patient. The images are the first that will get automated. So there are a lot of AI software that's out there. So we work with all of them. We develop our own AI as well to plug into our platform. So other than the images, there's also a need to have the blood, urine, biochem data, or even the clinical medical records to be combined to give a more accurate or converge to a more accurate diagnosis. So it's very common to find that you have, for example, the eye specialist. They would use the fundus camera. In the past, they look at the image, they stare at themselves. These days, you run the AI software to determine what kind of disease the patient have. So in our case, we could not do all, but what we did is we choose to do the cell analysis. So pictures that come in with the cancer cells in the process of biopsy. We use AI technology to analyze the cells and tell you how many cancer cells are there and what types of cancer cells are there. The product is announced early part of this year at CES, Las Vegas, in the US. So we have a lot of traction today on this technology. We will not stop there. On the AI, it will get expanded to many other parts of the medical application. Now, one of the things that we have that most of the telehealth platform do not have is the IoT technology. So from day one, we don't quite believe that you can just do telehealth with just video conferencing. If that's the case, then video conferencing or telehealth would have taken off 20 years ago. Video conference is not new, right? It's been around for a long time. So what is needed is that you have to simulate or emulate the pretty much the exact environment of a clinic where patients come and see a doctor. Doctor use devices to take measurements and ask questions, ask about their symptoms and stuff like that before they come to some form of diagnosis. So for this simple consultation, we break it into 2 parts. The parts that are done by the patients. That means patient would have devices at home. And on the platform, there are symptoms that the patients regularly, in fact, they don't have to do it before seeing the doctors, but can even track it on a regular basis, especially with the pandemic right now. Those 2 are done by the patients before they even get online with the doctor. So when they get online with the doctors, they have vital signs values already submitted. They also have the symptoms already submitted into the cloud, the EMR in the cloud. Doctor would then be able to even look at it before even talking to the patients. So with that, we pretty much emulate the environment of a clinic consultation. So that's the IoT or IoMT technology that we have. So
Can
other
I
than that,
interrupt you a short while, Kakai? I
yes,
know you got a
please.
lot more to say, but there's some questions coming in. So I'd like to share the screen. First of all, I think there was the first question actually came in from Facebook. And Dr. Lim is asked in the online shopping model like Alibaba, I think Ali platform and customers are the winners. So while shops and vendors engage in red ocean price war competition, many are unable to survive. So he's worried that your platform will emulate online shopping model with doctors as online mall shops. So will this be any different? You know, your
Well,
comments?
whether it's physical or online mall, whether it's Ali or one Utama is the same, right? If you're selling shoes, there's 20 other guys selling shoes. They're in the Red Sea anyway, right? They're not in the blue ocean. It's the same whether you're online or offline. Competition is fierce. So if you look at the context of Malaysia, shoppers go into the mall. They're no longer, in fact, very few of them walk around the shop lots. If you have a shop in the shop lots, you don't get too many clients, right? You don't get the walking clients per se. So it's the same concept in healthcare. Many of you have a clinic in the hospital. Is actually to capture the patients that flow through the hospital. Likewise, in the future, we foresee that the consumer, in this case, the patients, will also be flowing into the clinic mall, and the competition or the differentiation that you have to make as a doctor would be your skill, your service, and I do not think price is an issue. I mean, a lot of people think price is an issue. I do not think so. I think when a person is sick, he's more interested in getting healed, getting cured, right? uh, price, I do not think, I mean, you don't find patient negotiating price with you, right? So I don't think price is the issue. I don't see it's going to turn into a Red Sea, but I do see that the doctor that move ahead with the technology, they will have an advantage because then they can provide both online offline services. Just to give you a flavor of how rapidly this has grown, of course, it's accelerated by the pandemic. US used to have just last year several millions of online calls on consultation. Over the last 9 months, maybe about 10 months, it's gone past a billion calls online. So this is how fast it grows. Just backtrack a little bit. We talk about home as a clinic concept. We started this concept in China about 6 years ago, 5 years ago. The government paid for 10,000 homes to turn into sort of a virtual clinic, meaning like provided them devices. Government pay for the devices. That's how we started with this first project that we have in China, in a place called Changzhou. 10,000 homes. Each home has anywhere from 5 to about 10 devices, depending on the number of diseases that the folks have. Uh, this was targeted. Healthcare in China is largely paid by the government. So having the patients at home help the government to save some money. But in any case, that get connected to the hospital, and doctor don't even have to see the patient, and they can continue to charge money and get money from it. So that's the. I hope I answered the questions in terms of the concern of the doctor that once it turns into a mall, it turns into the Red Sea.
Okay. We'll take a question from the Slido, and Axel asks, can you detail a bit about the security aspect of all these data? So if one of you guys can answer that.
I can take that also. When I first started this, the primary thing was to make sure that the data are secure. In China, this is very sensitive. They're very worried about the data go out of the country. By the way, all countries have laws that says data has to be in country. No matter which country you go to, they have that. So when we started the business in China, that's where we started the business initially. Uh, our goal was to connect it not just to the local hospitals with the doctors there, but also the doctors in the US. Uh, I think Haley just now did not show that slide. So we have few thousands of doctors in the US that is on our platform. One of the requirement, in fact, the prerequisite of getting onto our platform is that we have to be HIPAA compliant. So under the FDA, the HIPAA compliant is mandatory for any clinics or any doctor to use any of the technology. That's for in the Malaysia or Singapore context, it's called the PDPA, right? The Data Protection Act. So our system was built from day one compliant to HIPAA. So that's where the security is. Now, we also have the IoT technology that also has to be compliant to the HIPAA. On the front end, we even extended that we have VPN on the M card, the M drive, such that the data is well protected when it's transmitted over the internet or over the network.
Okay. All right. So there's another question from we'll alternate. There's another question from Facebook from Francis. With AI to help doctors arrive at a diagnosis, are we surprised patients may know more than doctors?
Doctor, patients will never know more than you. Come on, you spend like 10, 20, 30 years. They will never know more than you do, right? Today, a lot of doctors complained to me actually that they said, the doctors came with the internet information, bits here and bits there, right? Start asking they want this drug and that drug, it makes their life a bit more complicated. But that's how it's going to go. That's how it's going to happen. I have been using this platform of my own for the last 6 years. I have about 20 some doctors pretty much all over the world looking at my data and managing me, quote unquote, managing me. Over time, I do take the readings. I carry with me a blood pressure monitors that has about 10 values in it. Our blood pressure monitor has more data than the normal systolic, diastolic, and heart rate. I carry with me also an ECG, the one that Haley showed you just now, and also the oximeter that gives me the SpO2. So of course, before I started using this, I don't know much about this, but over time, when we have questions, we ask the doctor. Doctor will provide a little bit more explanation. Over time, the patients will know more and more about themselves. Now, I do see that the consultation, the advisory part will continue to happen, especially as the patients know more and more about themselves. They want to manage the body and the health better. So when there's a little bit of abnormality, they tend to actually want to see a doctor. Similarly to even some of our staff, employees, because they are all exposed to devices, they take measurement on a regular basis. Immediately they see some abnormality in the ECG, they go see doctors. By the way, our medical bills go up the last 2 years as compared to the years before, because the employees are more sensitive to their health. They look at the data. If something wrong, they go see doctors, right? So I do not see the patients knowing more as a negative. I see that as a positive. Now, just to add to this, the models of the way that the clinic operates changes. In fact, we are the pioneer. We're the first one that started selling the medical services as a membership. So we started in China, that the doctor managed the patients for a year. Based on number of times that's required, you can have different packages. Right? Anywhere from a few $1,000s to even over $10,000 to manage a patient for a year. Now, this has also happened in the US. In the US, they call it the direct primary care, DPC. You can Google and take a look at it. So clinics used to run everything through insurance. If you look at the model, I call it the Chinese manual, the a la carte model, right? You come in, whatever service you need, you take, then you get the bill based on whatever that is needed there. So it's changed to a membership model in the US. So patient that is 21 years and below, they charge something at $20 a month. Those guys 20 to maybe 55, they charge somewhere around $65 or $70 per month, and above that they charge something like $150 per month. So this model has been well received by the market, because it is pretty much the insurance, right? The clinics are pretty much offering the insurance. It's all you can eat deal, right? You pay the X dollars, then you can come and see me all the time, right? Anytime that you want. So the models of the business is changing. Haley talked about the training, the workshop that we've done. Well, of course, during the pandemic, we couldn't do much, but prior to the pandemic, the last 12 months, so we have trained over 500 CEOs, CXO, CEO, CTO, whatever they are, CMO, from hospitals in China. They flew down here for a day or 2-day workshop. We have trained over 500 of them, not just on the technology, but also the business model and the usage of the technology platform. So it goes beyond just the concept of an app, doctor seeing a patient on the other end, chatting with them. That's a bit too shallow. We have been this for 7 years. We see the change of the business model. We are driving even the change of the business model. In fact, we were the pioneer of the change of the business model. And I see that this is going to change also very soon in this part of the world.
Okay, there's another question on Slido, and the question is from Maz, who asks, how accurate is your ECG tracing or reading? Has the device been tested and compared with the conventional ECG machine?
Well, the ECG that is now that we hook up, Haley was talking about 20-some devices, right? We have simple devices to very complex devices, including a CPAP machine. In fact, one of the bigger machines that we promote quite a bit is the CPAP machine. We also connect to clinic fundus camera. So specifically for the ECG, we connect to the 2-lead, the one that you've seen just now. You see only one signal coming in. 5, 8, and 12 leads or so. But for home use, most of them are just, using the 1-lead ECG. All the medical devices that we have to be FDA approved, and also in Europe is CE approved. We don't take any of those Fitbit. We don't take any of the iWatches or whatnot. Those are not acceptable. Those are not usable by the doctors. In fact, if doctors use it, if they use those data, then they probably will get some warning, or they might get some punishment. So the medical device, the prerequisite for all these medical devices, that has nothing to do with actually our system, but it's a device on its own that has the merit of passing the FDA. In the US, in Europe is the CE, in Malaysia is the MDA. So all devices will have to go through all this approval process.
There's a question from one of our Facebook doctors in the Dobbs Doctors group in Facebook. What happens when the devices are not working properly, or when the calibration was not done accurately? Does the doctor bear the medical legal burden of the device error? Good question from Dr. Suguma. Thank you for your question.
Very good questions. Yes. Well, it's no different from the device that you have in your office, right? If you carry an Omron, or you have other devices in the office, they do run into technical problem from time to time. So it's the responsibility of the if the equipment is in the patient site, owned by the patient, it's responsibility of the patient make sure that the device are working, right? The devices that have most commonly used are the BPM, blood pressure monitors, that seldom actually fail. If the reading comes in a bit odd, if you are the doctors, even when I take it myself, if the readings are odd, I take several times, like 3 times or 4 times. So that the doctor would have to make a little bit of judgment whether they have used it correctly or not. Most of the time, there's little failure, more of actually the operational issue. Did they carve it correctly? Did they use it correctly? You may have those issues right at the beginning, but towards the end, those pretty much goes away. We do have doctors in the in our platform now managing patients for the last 5 years on a membership basis. So the feedback was that as the patients get into a later part, meaning like after a few months, then they get very, very efficient. They know what is going on, then how to do that. So as part of the workshops that we have, other than training the doctors on the technology, the business model, we also run a workshop to train the staff of the clinics to convert them or transform them to a level where they can support online patients. Meaning, right now they see patients face to face. They got patient coming to the office. The support that is needed is very different from support online. So the question is a very good question. Now your nurses or your administrator in the office need to know how to support the usage of all these devices, right? But again, these devices are designed to be wearable devices and simple devices. They are no different from the Omron that you have. They're not complicated. It's easy to use. It's designed for old folks to use, right? Layman, old folks, anybody, right? So when we design our system, we try to minimize the interaction that's needed. Maybe one or two touch, then they get the devices activated and data uploaded.
All right, there's another question from Dr. Kasturi. Patients might have a false sense of security of their health status being normal or good with their incorrect interpretation of devices. Your comments.
Well, we never advise or we don't encourage any of the patients to use the device without consultation. I mean, if they go off and buy their own device and just use it, that's fine, right? There's nothing got to do with the doctors. But if they are on the on a platform and hook up to the doctor, then they're supposed to connect to the doctors and consult the doctor for any medical advice. If they are on their own, then it's not the liability of any doctors, right? It's not the responsibility of the doctors. Yes, there are patients thinking that they are familiar with the device. They're smarter than, maybe in this case, smarter than the doctors. But there are patients like that too, right? Trying to save a few bucks or whatnot. But in general, we don't quite have this kind of problem. We don't quite have this problem, especially when you have a business model where a patient go on membership, they pay you X thousand or X hundred ringgit a year. Why not call the doctors, right?
Yeah. Anyway, if anybody wants to DIY, they're welcome, just like anything else. Yeah.
You're right, Alan.
Yeah. Does medical indemnity cover telehealth services you offer? I think we did cover this question in our previous talks on telemedicine. And I think MPS has clearly said they do cover telemedicine. They do. So I think the other medical indemnity companies have said they would offer, but do check with your own just to be sure. But I think maybe especially talking about telehealth services if it employs IoTs and any aspect of AI in the telehealth service. So where does medical indemnity come in? Is the doctor covered?
The medical indemnity is still done by the own doctor's insurance, right? Depending on which insurance you're buying to cover your own practice, that's covered there. The platform does not. The platform is just a platform that enable the telehealth. The technology is just a technology, no different from all the equipment that you use in a hospital or the devices that you use in the clinic. Now, the judgment call is still on the doctors. I mean, when the data comes in, the doctor would still have to make a judgment whether we can provide or the doctor can provide the consultation online, or if not, or insufficient data, the doctor may have to call the patient to come into the clinic. That's typically the advice that we give or the training that we give to the doctor. That is still your call to decide whether you want to continue the online consultation, or if insufficient data, then you would want them to come in to see face to face. Now, our platform, the responsibility of our platform is to provide you as much data as possible, as accurate data as possible, and also to tell you what types of data are coming in. We have patents on this technology. So like, for example, in our case, based on the medical record that you look at on your screen or look at your phone, you can tell that this data is coming from the lab, from the doctors, means the professionals. And you can tell that this data is coming from device, IoT device that are connected, meaning there's no human intervention in entering the device. That means when they take the blood pressure or the ECG, the device, the data is connected and is automatically uploaded to the cloud. There's no intervention there. Or do they have an OMRON, an old OMRON that they have that is not wireless connected? So all these types of categories we highlight in the medical records that you see online on the screen. It will show you that this data is coming from what kind of source that they have, and based on that you make your judgment. If the data is manually entered and using the old OMRON, then you might want to tell the patient that, hey, it doesn't look like you're supposed to have 180 or 120 for your blood pressure, retake or whatnot, right? So these are the judgment and a call that the doctor would have to make. So all in all, I mean, you need some training, right? You need some training to be able to do a better telehealth job.
So, question from one of our Facebook doctors: any journal studies on or publications, I guess, on any positive outcomes with connected IoTs? What's the medical evidence?
Oh, it's quite commonly used now. For example, in hospital, let alone the home user. Home user is all very popular now. If you look at Omron or anybody, the new set of devices that's coming out, new series product, they're all Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I mean, you can hardly find even a standalone type that's not connected anymore, right? There's a protocol that's established long ago for the IoT device to connect to the cloud or to any devices. So the protocol has been there for a long time.
Clinical trials to show that if you use a connected device like, say, remote blood pressure monitoring, does it improve the outcome of the
Yes.
med?
Yes, actually, we participated in one of the clinical trial that funded by the Ministry of Science and Technology in China. We get part of the funding also in China. This is done in Shanghai Hospital Number 6, the People's Hospital Number 6, by the cardiologist department. What they have is they're doing this clinical trial to see the efficacy or is there any better outcome of patients that are managed online versus those that are not managed online. So they have 3,000 in a control group, and there's 3,000 patients, so a total of 6,000. They also selected, I'm not sure, 50 or 60 doctors, and this doctor has to be the same doctors for the next 10 years. The program is 10 years, is already in the third year right now, using our systems, using the IoT devices. The device has to be same also, right? So that the data consistency, all that. So these are the real trial, that clinical trial, just like any other trial that is done for devices and patients. This has gone to the third year, and the results for the first 2 years, we haven't seen the results for the third year yet. Yes, there's a significant improvement of the health of the patients. And what they found is also that the patients learn how to manage themselves. They learn how to manage themselves and better improvement on the health overall, right? Now, that say, I'm sure some of the doctors must be wondering, if they know how to manage themselves, we don't get the money anymore, right? No, they continue to do that, right? Just like I said, for all those that we signed up 4 or 5 years ago as a members of our patients on a membership program, they're still with us. They're still with us. Yeah, we have only one dropout so many years,
Okay.
So they study that we are engaged in. I'm sure there are many study elsewhere as well. Yeah.
Okay, we are running out of time, but I think we want to save just a little bit more on AI and the Malaysian context. What projects are you happening in Malaysia as far as the AI aspect in your company? Is other than
So
overseas?
AI, the technology, the work that we have done within the group, we have a chip company. So when we talk about IoT and AI, these are actually because within the group we have the hardware company. So we design the IoT chips under the company called Keyasic. So this chip is used, millions of them already sold. Some of the big names are Lenovo in China, Toshiba in Japan. Many of these people have used our IoT chip, and this is the IoT part. And we also have an AI chip ourselves. So we combine the two and turn into a hardware box where we allow the AI software to be developed on top of it. Now, in terms of application, we haven't deployed any in Malaysia yet, but we are in the process of looking at the easy ones. The fundus camera, that's the easy one to deploy. And then the next thing that you will find is the CT scan, X-rays, pictures like that. We ourselves that deeply involved with the research work with some of the researchers or the pathologists is the cancer cells recognition. So right now we are running trials on some of the data that we have. It's not deployed yet. It's not officially deployed yet. Now, the AI will evolve in two stages. We will get deployed in two stages. The first stage is that the AI will be used by the doctors, front or back end doctors. Back end means the radiologist, the pathologist. Front means the clinician. Will be used as an assistant, meaning a tool that assists the diagnosis. So that's the first phase. Then when the tools get sufficient data and prove that is actually doing the job as good as a doctor or maybe even better than a doctor, then the AI tools or AI software systems will then go through the FDA or CE approval as an AI tool. So for example, FDA or China FDA has approved AI for fundus cameras images, where retina image comes in. The tool will tell you have glaucoma or diabetic, how severe is your diabetic, things like that. This is the first AI tool approved by any of those authority that no longer the doctor's signature is needed on the report. Once it's approved as an AI tool by the FDA, then the report generated by the system becomes the report without the doctor's signature. So that's already happening. In China, we are working on one big project, about 783 hospitals for the fundus camera.
Okay. There's a comment from Dr. Mas who says, as far as she knows, telemedicine is only allowed during this pandemic and not to be used beyond this period. I think that's not correct. Telemedicine has been here before the pandemic. It's escalated during the pandemic and it will continue beyond the pandemic. And it's just that the MMC guidelines have been revised in view of the uptick in the telemedicine practice. And it will be continued to be refined, and the Telemedicine Act, as we know it, is being redrafted and revised. So it's an ongoing thing. It won't die after the pandemic. It will continue to take off, and I think it's shown how important this technology is to enhance our clinical practice. Can we go to Slido? I just want to see whether we can show the poll. I just want to ask a question. If you can go to slido.com and then join us at 99255, and I have a poll there. Do you believe artificial intelligence will replace doctors in the near future? So can you guys who are still watching, please take the poll. 99255 on Slido.
Wow. No.
One only, one answer. Let's have more.
Oh, one answer. Okay, okay.
Let's have more, please. 3 respondents. While you're answering, I will post, if you are interested to know more from UCrest, I will post the contacts again, which Haley showed in the slides. Okay, for Malaysia, you can contact Masri at 6019277247 and the email is masri@ucrest.net. Okay.
You can screenshot this, right, Alan?
Yeah, the video they can replay it. The video
Oh,
is
okay.
just it's hosted up there either in our Facebook group or in YouTube. They can replay it and it will be there. So don't have to
Okay.
screenshot. It's not like the video goes away. For Singapore, I will post it as well. We have yes, we have yes, who believes that AI will replace doctors in the future. Okay. For Singapore, you can contact Haley at 6598391870, haley@unitedcrest.com. Okay. So these numbers are there for you to for your reference. All right. Quite interesting talk, Kai and team. There's just not enough time to cover everything, but it's good to know that this AI is going to be employed in funders, I presume, for screening for retinopathy, diabetic retinopathy, and other important diseases which may be missed. Is that right?
Yes, fundus is the easy one that is being done right now because I guess it's not as critical, right? Then there are many also AI being deployed on CT scan, X-ray, and even ultrasound. So if you look at this, images are the one that first to go, because the computer can actually process images better than human beings, especially when you have a big volume of data. If you look at CT scan, if you look at 64 slides or maybe more, computer it was put together by the computers anyway, right? It was sliced in 64 slides and then pasted into a 3D model. It was done by computer. So the image type or video type of diagnosis will definitely be automated fairly quickly. And for example, what we do is processing the image of cells.
Yeah,
Right.
I think things which there's a pattern or which you can teach the machine to recognize. So like cells or radiology would be the main things which will come to mind. But I think the fear of would AI replace a radiologist or will AI replace a pathologist in the near future? I think I would agree with the majority, Kai, don't you think? The answer is no, but I think doctors who use AI may replace doctors who don't use AI in the near future. What do you think?
I think, Alan, you're right. It then depends on what near future you're talking about, right? If you're talking about near future in the
5, 10
next
years?
3 months,
Oh, 3 months,
that's
no, not
long.
that year, maybe a few
My
years.
my friend, 5-10 years is very long in the technology
Okay,
world, man. Let me just give
okay.
you one example. We started this. I did not actually incorporate this into our platform, but
Mm,
we didn't do it is because I think it was already price erosion there.
mm,
There's a doctor, eye doctor. He owns a hospital in Sweden, eye
mm,
specialist center, hospital actually. And over the years, he hired some people to help him to develop this, fundus camera images and process with AI. He put it up on a cloud, and he started marketing. Hire a team of people to sell in Europe and also in Latin America. For some reason, he has some contacts or distributors there. So what he did was he sell the fundus camera together with the IoT card that we showed earlier to optical shops, places where people go and repair get your glasses done. And the fundus camera is only about $2,000 a piece. In fact, it's getting even cheaper. You have a handheld type now for less than $1,000. So what the optical shops are offering, because they pay $100, $200. When I say dollars, are US dollars, yeah, to get a pair of glasses done. So what they did is they offered free service to just do a screen on your eyes, just take pictures with the fundus camera, run it on the cloud. This cloud AI software can detect 3 types of diseases of the eyes. If he has the medical data like EMR blood test and additional information, he can probably do about 21 types of diseases, according to him. That's what he told me. Yeah. Guess how much he charged? €1 per eye. €1 per eye. That's about 5 ringgit per eye. So that's how it's done right now. So would it replace? No, I think it expanded the business. I don't think it replaces the specialist. It expanded the scope of the business. It reached out to more people. Now you have not just the clinics that use the fundus camera, but you have the optical shops that are using the fundus camera. So in China, they're doing the same thing too, right? With the technology, they want to expand to what they call those health centers for the population, so that they can do screening. Old folks can do screening and all that stuff easily. So they expanded the business. They make it more accessible to majority of the population. So they grow the pie rather than just reducing it, competing, right, or replacing.
Yeah, I think our jobs are still safe, at least in the next few years. So I got
Very safe. Yeah.
one more poll. Would you be keen to monitor patients who are using IoT devices? I'm just wondering how comfortable we currently are with the technology. Because we have a question again from Dr. J.K. Lim. The issue is legal responsibility. Who's responsible? The programmer behind your software or the doctor? So would you be keen to monitor patients for using IoT devices like glucometers, blood pressure machines, uh, oxygen saturation at home, etc.? So please take the poll. It's just an opinion, yeah?
So Alan, maybe I can just quickly help to answer the question: who is responsible?
Yeah, well,
Ultimately,
voting.
yeah. Well, they're voting, right? I can talk, right?
Sure. Yeah, just take the question.
Okay. So the Singapore government MOH is very clear. In fact, everywhere I encounter is very clear that it's always the doctors that's ultimately responsible for it. It's no different from the devices that you use in the hospital today or equipment. So the fact that you go online, you have technology. Don't get overwhelmed by the people on the technology side and tell you all this great, fantastic technology. It's no different from what you have been doing physically today. You use email, WhatsApp, use phone calls. That's online technology, voice technology instead of text technology. So it's no different. Don't be fearful, and don't think that it's too complicated. It's not actually, right? You're just getting the data from remote to you. Instead of having doctors or nurses using or operating the device will continue to be simplified to an extent that it will be accurate and easy to use by the layman. That's the technology guy's job. All you have to do at the back end when the data comes to you, look at it, and you need to make the judgment whether the data is reasonable or correct. Yes, answer your question. The responsibility ultimately doesn't matter what it is. It's not the Siemens or the GE or Philips to responsible. You are the one, or whoever the one is operating the equipment, and look at the data and talk to the patients. You are responsible.
Yeah. Okay. So Ju Kyung, I hope that answers your question. But thanks for watching. So we have 80% who would be keen to monitor or use IoTs in their practice. So maybe there's hope. I don't know what the scope like or the market is in Malaysia so far, but I would imagine it's still in the infancy. Am I correct? Unlike China
Well,
and
yeah, actually, it's infancy in most places. People always start off with the chronic disease. They are the one. These are the disease that require them to go and see the doctors regular basis. So these are the one that get converted into the so-called the membership, the package, and they require monitoring. So if you look at it now, do you think that the patients actually don't need this or don't want this? No, it's not offered by you, right? Doctors are not offering it. The minute the doctors start offering this, we see that actually the patient wants it, right? I mean, as long as they can afford it, they want it, right? Now, over time, I also see that the insurance company will have to compete with the doctors, especially in the US model. Right now, they call it the direct primary care, I can see that the next stage is direct, could be chronic care, right? The U.S. Medicare systems, that means the medical insurance paid by the government, is already paying for it. They're paying for what they call the I think it's called the remote chronic care, right? Care management, chronic care management, CCM. So they pay something like $90 for 20 minutes of care online. So the insurance are paying for it. It's coming. Yeah, whether you like it or not, the government, the insurance companies do believe that better care for the patients on a regular basis, just like taking your high BP pills, is safer, is better for the patients. They're healthier, right? Instead of going for a stent or bypass at the end, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, Kai. I mean, the point is insurance companies here have yet to embrace telemedicine, have yet to embrace remote monitoring. I think it's perhaps when there's more evidence or that there will be better outcome for patients, less complications in the end, less expense for the insurance company, that this thing will take off. And hopefully insurance company will cover telemedicine and maybe IoTs and in remote monitoring of patients. Okay.
Insurance are paying for it now. Insurance already paying for
Not
it.
in Malaysia though. Not in Malaysia, as far as I know.
No, it's commercial. It has nothing to do with regulatory. It's up to them to pay or not to pay. Yeah. So, like for example, at the regional level, Prudentials are paying, XI is paying, AIA is paying. Even HSBC is paying. So they're all looking for telehealth partners to be part of the program. The big guys are all doing that already, even throughout the regions or worldwide, unless the country prohibits that by law. Otherwise, it's a commercial decision, right? If they can keep the patient at home and the service provider are providing the service online at a lower price, then insurance would be happy to take it, right? Let me just give you an example. If the employees in the office, we have the concept of clinic, office is clinic. That means we park the devices in the clinic, in the office. So if the service provider, that means the doctors, can provide a lower price for employees that is just calling in with the measurements with the IoT devices from the office, why not? The insurance company is happy to reimburse that than to reimburse more money when they come and see you, right?
Okay. With that, I think we've exceeded an hour. One very interesting 1 hour 10 minutes presentation from the UCH team, and a lot of new things. I think for some of us, this world of IoTs, AIs incorporating into telemedicine. So I hope it was an interesting session for you. Thank you once again, Kai. We've lost Kai. Anyway, Cairo, Adrian. Danish, Masri. Okay, good night. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you, Dr. Alan.
participating.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Cairo. Yeah, Haley, thanks for your
Thank you.
presentation. We hope that you get feedback. I would be keen to know more, and we will continue. If there are new things coming up, maybe we'll see you again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We can schedule a separate meeting for that.
Broadcast now. Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Okay.